up your YouTube, search for Stukeley Meadows, watch on your big screen.
Or another device if you're at home.
Get yourself comfy, this could take a while. What a happy scene. Something new every day for your long-term memory. This is so exciting, it is nearly time for a Stukeley assembly.
Hello there everyone and welcome to today's curriculum assembly. Let's get started in the usual ways. For each other we, every day we, to improve we, and together we will. And our everyday focuses are, and our Stukeley motto is, and our curriculum is, and 4 words that make the magic happen. Brilliant, well here we are again. It's the second half term of the autumn term. And here we are for today's curriculum assembly. Now I'm sure you have all remembered that we have been meeting lots of experts in the last half term, and we are going to meet some more in this half term too. But why have we been doing that? Why all the experts? Well, we're just trying to help all of us have a better idea of how all the subjects and things that we learn in school set us up for our future, whatever our futures might be, however they might look, and wherever they might take us. It's useful to know what good is all of this stuff I'm learning in school and what's that going to do for me when I'm older, because it's so hard when you're young and in school like all of you are to even imagine being grown up, let alone thinking about what you might want to do when you are a grown up, although I'm sure lots of you might have some really good ideas already. Anyway, before we get started with this week, I think it would be good to cast our minds back to all of the experts we've met so far. So we had a bit of a quiz at the end of the last half term, and a way to kind of jog our memories to get our memory connections going. I've got some pictures this time. So teachers, you can pause, children call out whatever is acceptable in your classroom. I'm going to show you some picture cues. I think I've got them in the right order, not that that's terribly important. So picture clue number 1 for an expert. Let's see. Do you remember who that was? Okay. Did you get that one? Yep, that was Mr. Flint. Do you remember talking to us about working in a pet shop and being in charge of kind of animal nutrition and working out all the right kind of chemical balances for your fish tanks and things? Do you remember? Okay, next one, here it is. Okay, here we go. Hopefully that's not too scary for everybody. But there it is. It was somebody who was really interested in sculpture and particularly liked things like that. Do you remember? Yeah, Mrs. Page, wasn't it? And she was really interested in art and sculpture. Okay, this one might be a bit trickier about our next expert that came to talk to us about their job and about all the writing and reading that they had to do in it. Oh, nearly dropped the iPad then. Right, here we go. A little clue. Oh, did you get that one? Yeah, it was Mr. Casey talking to us, wasn't it, about working in the police and about all those reports that he has to read and write. Do you remember? This one is even trickier. It's the best picture I could get. It's not that I was trying to be particularly tricky, but another expert. Hang on, here we go. I'll give you a bit of a clue. It's a sound desk. Allows you to mix sounds for recordings and things. Do you remember? Yeah, that was Billy, wasn't it? Billy Stevens talking to us about being a sound engineer and about all that's involved in that job. This one, I didn't realise I made these so tricky. This one's really tricky as well. Okay, here we go. Yeah, oh, it looks like flood water. Now, which one of our experts had to work and sort out problems if they arose, if there was like an emergency, like a flood? Do you remember? Yeah, that was Stephanie Robinson. Do you remember she worked sorting out all sorts of problems that might help us to manage kind of disasters, a bit like a flood, a little bit better, and she had to use her geography skills. Do you remember that one? Okay, so that's all the ones that we've covered so far. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody out. I tried so hard. But what are we going to look at this week? Well, this week's curriculum focus is modern foreign languages. And at our school, we actually learn French. Very quickly though, before we meet our expert, I wonder what you can remember. Those of you that are already in Key Stage 2, because we don't learn about this in Key Stage 1 or Foundation. Those of you in Key Stage 2, what can you remember about the French you have learned so far in school? Pause me if you need to, you can share as a class. Now, some of you already speak more than one language. And today is a chance to celebrate being able to speak English as well as your home language too. So perhaps as a class you might want to find out who speaks more than one language already, because we can celebrate being able to speak other languages today. At our school, when we learn about French though, the three big ideas, those really important kind of foundation building blocks that we need, look like this. We talk about speaking and listening, and that's kind of one block together. Excuse me. We talk about reading and writing. And this is really the foundation things for learning a new language, learning to speak it and also learning to communicate in that language in other ways, including writing and being able to read it as well as speak it. So what does French learning look like at our school? Well, a lot of our time, when you learn a foreign language of any kind, but also true of learning French at Stukeley, is that we have to learn vocabulary. We learn vocabulary. That means we have to learn the French words for things, so that when we're asked something, we could answer, or if somebody says, oh, you know, this is in a foreign language, in French, for example, then we can understand what it is that they're saying. So vocabulary is really, really super important when you learn a language. So for example, we learn how to say the days of the week in French. I wonder if I can remember. Mrs. Stevens hasn't done French for about 30, maybe more years than that. I'm just trying to see if I can remember. Maybe you can help me, those of you that know. I think it's lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche. I think that's right. It's been a long time since I've had to practice that, guys. So we learn to say perhaps the days of the week, maybe the months of the year, maybe the colours, maybe numbers, maybe food. And we also learn how we can actually put the words into sentences. This means we have to learn verbs, and we have to do something called conjugate a verb, which means all the different verb forms. So I might say I am, he is, she is, you are, they are, we are. In English is how we might say that particular verb form. And in French, you might say j'ai, which means I am, in French, for example. And I'm not sure if I can remember all the rest. Oh, it's been such a long time, children, but I'm sure some of you can help me. Please stop and carry on. Please stop me and have a practice together is what I mean there. So perhaps some of you, or in fact, most of you will be more of an expert than I am. It's been a long time. We also learn more about the country of France. So we don't just learn about the words that they speak and the language that they speak, but we also learn what it's like there. What's the landscape like? What are the cities like? What's the culture like there? What foods do people like to eat? What kind of activities do people do? All of that is part of our modern foreign languages learning, in this case, learning French. I wonder how much you think you know about France and speaking French though. Well, one thing I do know is that today's expert knows quite a bit about French and other languages too. So let's meet him. It's time to meet today's expert, and over to you. 6 questions coming your way.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Stephen, je viens de l'Écosse et je suis le mari de Madame Colley. So what have I just said to you? I've said, hello, my name is Stephen, I come from Scotland and I am Mrs. Colley's husband. And my expertise is I speak lots of different languages. As a child, I really I was the oldest of 4 children, and I really loved going to school. I loved learning new things. But if you look back at some of my school reports, they'll probably tell you that I talked too much, But you know what, when I learned to stop talking as much in class and listening more, I learned lots more and I really loved it. The other thing I loved as a child was I loved reading. I always wanted books, and you can see behind me all my books that I have now as a grown-up. And I loved reading books because it was great stories and I learned things, and I just enjoyed losing myself in a book and a story. I had lots of friends as well, and in the summer I used to love going out on my bike and riding all over and exploring and having adventures, many of them acting out the books that I'd read when I was reading. So, as I said, my area of expertise is I speak lots of different languages. In fact, I speak, 5 languages, I think 5 languages. I speak French, I speak German, I speak Spanish, I speak Italian, and I also speak Scottish Gaelic, which is a special language they speak in some parts of Scotland. And the great thing is, because I can speak lots of different languages, it means I can read lots of different books in lots of different languages. I thought I'd show you how good that can be. So this book is called The Black Island, and it's a Tintin adventure. And I can read that in English. But you know what? Here it is again, and it's called An Chelandu, which means The Black Island. But that's in Scottish Gaelic, and I can read that too. And another one I've got, there it is again, and it's called L'Île Noire, which means the Black Island, and it's in French, and I can read that too. So that's the really exciting thing when you learn to speak different languages. You can read lots of different books, or the same book, but in lots of different languages, if you like. What's my biggest challenge? Well, I'd say the biggest challenge when you learn a language is that it never stops, it never stays still. Lots of new words are always being invented in any language. Just think of all the words that you know in English, and then you hear different words and new words all the time. And it's the same for all those other languages. How do all these new words get invented? And when you learn to speak a language and you're not speaking it every day, how do you learn all those new words? So when I was learning French a long time ago, we didn't have things like mobile phones, didn't have internet. There was lots of things that exist today that didn't exist then, so there were no words for them. So the biggest challenge when you learn a language is making sure you're keeping up to date with all the new words that are being invented all the time. Now, how do I do that? Well, I read books, I read newspapers, I watch television, and you can watch the news in different languages on television, and the internet is the greatest thing ever for being able to watch lots of different things in lots of different languages. And I love listening to the French news because it's a bit different to our news because it's coming from a different country, and it just helps me with my language, but also informs me and gives me lots of information about what's happening in France. And what would I tell you if you want to become an expert in a language? Well, do you know, it's hard work. Like all things, it's really hard work. So you learn and you pay attention to what you're being taught by your teachers, and you read some books, but you've got to learn all the words and you've got to remember all the words. And it doesn't just come by, out of the air and just thinking about it and thinking I can do that. You've really got to work hard. And I remember when I was at school, learning, like you do with your spelling test, learning lots of lists of French words, all the new French words I had to learn and remember, and then having tests every day in class to make sure that I remembered all those words. It's the only way. And that's the biggest challenge that you find. And if you want to do that, you're going to have to work hard. There's one other thing. One of my favourite books in French is this one. I hope you can see that. It's called Le Petit Nicolas, which means Little Nicholas. And it's the story of Nicholas, and that's him on the front cover, and his school friends, and all the silliness that they get up to, and the adventures that they get up to. And I'd love for you to be able to read that one day in French, but if not, maybe get Mrs. Colley to start reading to you in English.
Well, there we have it, this week's expert. 5 languages, everybody. That is incredible. I'm not sure I even knew that he could speak 5 languages, and I've known him and Mrs. Corley for quite a long time. Anyway, 5 languages, amazing. It also sounded like quite a lot of hard work, didn't it? He did make the point that it doesn't just happen. If you want to be really good and speak lots of languages, or just speak 1 or 2 other languages really well, it doesn't just happen. You have to take time to really learn all those new words and then test yourself on it to make sure that it's really going into your brain and staying there. And it does work, because even I can remember some of the French that I learned at school over 30 years ago. And so it does work. So hard work. I think quite a few of our experts have said that, haven't they? A lot of them said you have to work hard at things. And the thing is, though, you think, oh, I'm not sure I want to work hard. But when you do work hard and then you get really good at something, it's all worth it. So although hard work might not sound like the most exciting thing or the best thing to be doing, when there's so many other things that seem more exciting in the moment, the hard work pays off and you feel really good and really proud when you're successful in things. So hard work gets you where you need to be. So big thanks to Mr. Corley. And perhaps we might be able to have a look at some of those books. Perhaps we could borrow some for school sometime to have a look at all those books, especially those ones written in French. That would be good, wouldn't it? Well, I have to confess, I have to make an apology, because when I was putting together this assembly and preparing, and I was saying, oh, have I forgotten anything? And you know, when I was running through all the list of experts that we've had and I was giving you those picture clues, it suddenly occurred to me, yes, I did forget someone and something. Can't believe it. Very, 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 very many apologies to Mr. Horn, Mrs. Horn's husband, who took the time to put together that expert film for us about being working with computers and technology and the industry that he works in. Do you remember when he had those kind of bunny ears on and that little kind of teddy bear face on at one point, and told us that his company had been responsible for developing that for apps? Amazing. So big apologies for forgetting that one. Can't believe it. I wonder if you remembered, and it's only now that I've remembered, and now I'm apologising publicly for everyone to know. Well, I'm sure you did. Okay, everybody. Well, here we are. Tuesday. Curriculum assembly done, and now we've got the rest of the week to get through. Don't forget, the best way to get through this week: work hard, be kind. See you soon, everyone.
Thank you, Mrs. Stevens, and thank you, our expert, Mr. Corley. Another great assembly, and I genuinely love finding out how children have become interested in something, or adults have become interested in something, and then grown into an expert. Every single one of you, even you down there, you can all become experts if you're passionate, you focus and you concentrate, and you work hard and are kind. I know you can. Right, just before we finish with birthdays and everyday knowledge, 2 things you need to know about. First of all, on Thursday this week, on the 11th of November, it is Remembrance Day. That's where we remember all of the men and the women, the young adults and the children who gave their lives for this country. We'll talk more about that on Thursday, and your teachers and your families will share that with you too. We are trying to raise money by selling poppies and the other merchandise, the fun bits. You know what I mean. So lots of you have bought these already. These are the poppy bits that are for sale. We've got bands, we've got, I think these are little zip pulls or similar. We've got key rings, slap bands. These are all for sale before school. And if you can't make it before school, they're available from the office there to raise money. And also, I'm sorry that the Oakleaf Bookshop hasn't opened yet this week. There's 2 reasons why it hasn't opened. Number 1, we haven't got Mr. Jones with us yet. And number 2, we have got so many new books, we haven't had time to put them in the bookshop. Just look at what we've got. We're now going to have a look at the books. So incredible books that you can buy. And as soon as they're ready, as soon as they're in the bookshop, come and visit and treat yourself to something. After I've shown you the books, we are going to go straight into Stukeley birthdays. I mean, I can't get them all out, but we have got some absolutely cracking books that you can buy. Let me move these around a little bit so you can see exactly what we've got for sale. I mean, we've got some great books here. I'll show you some of my favourites in a moment. Lots and lots of favourites. Oh. Got a load of Walliams, a lot of Walliams. Now these are my favourites. I think we've got lots of Charles Dickens, slightly different versions maybe to the ones that we've read. Anyway, we have got loads of new books in the bookshop. Come and visit, you might like it. Hey, it's time to say we've got a Stukeley birthday. Hey, it's time to say we've got a Stukeley birthday. Oh, come on! It's that time again, and we say happy birthday to Ellie in year 4. Crikey, year 4 already, Ellie. Happy birthday. I'm sure you've had fun with family, and now you've got the chance for friends. Have a good day. I hope you got things that you wished for, but you've also got lots of happy memories. If I see you in school this afternoon, let me know how it's going. Now we'll finish with everyday knowledge for you. And we are learning to remember things worth remembering, learning to remember things worth remembering, learning to remember things worth remembering, everyday knowledge for you. And we are learning to remember things worth remembering, learning to remember things worth remembering, learning to remember things worth remembering, everyday knowledge for you. Okay, you think I've jumped a bit too far this way? Well, you're wrong, I've done it on purpose. Bodies of water. Here's the United Kingdom. There are 4 bodies of water, 4 main bodies of water. I wonder, can you tell me, what is the body of water number 2? That's right, it's the Irish Sea. What is body of water number 4? That's right, it's the English Channel. What about number 1? That's right, the Atlantic Ocean. And what about number 3? Correct, number 4. Okay, capital cities. Can you tell me which country has the capital city London? England, that's right. Which country has the capital city Edinburgh? That's right, Scotland. Which country has the capital city Dublin? That's right, it's the Republic of Ireland. You had to use the full name, Republic of Ireland. Okay, I'm going to slide back over. Let's have a really quick little number sequence, shall we? Let's go for 1 times 3 is, 2 times 3 is, 3 times 3 is, 4 times 3 is, 5 times 3 is, 6 times 3 is, 7 times 3 is, 8 times 3 is, 9 times 3 is, 10 times 3 is, 11 times 3 is, 12 times 3 is, oh yeah, how many millimetres in a centimetre? That's right, 10. How many centimetres in 2 metres? That's right, 200. How many metres in 5 kilometres? That's right, 5,000. How many kilometres in 2 miles? That's right, 3.2. In which year did the England men win the Football World Cup? That's right, 1966. Who scored a hat-trick? That's right, Geoff Hurst. Okay, in which year was the Great Fire of London? Yes, that's right, 1666. In which year was the Battle of Hastings? That's right, 1066. Okay, in which year did the first person walk on the moon? 1969. And finally, we've done this the last 2 times, in which year did Guy Fawkes attempt to blow up the Houses of Parliament? 1605. Have a good day.